right, everyone, and welcome back to Recliner Sports Report. Talking with my friends. I am so glad I have a special guest with me, former Heidelberg University football player, outstanding athlete, also baseball player, just two-sport athlete at the great Heidelberg University Student Princes, but now currently United States Probation and Pretrial Service Officer. You're doing the Student Princes proud. We have a federal law enforcement officer with us today, Mr. Justin Suddeth. Suds, how are you, my dude? How is life? How's everything going?
Mac, man, that intro was, that was excellent, man. Excellent. Jeez. I can say that to some people.
Yeah, right, dude. Right. That's, no, man. How's the South going?
The South's going good, man. It's starting to get warm. It's April down here right now, so essentially, it's starting to get humid. It's Columbia, South Carolina. It's about to start being just warm and humid and moist all year long. But
dude, it's that perfect golfing weather, man.
It is.
Have you been getting out, practicing, swinging your sticks?
You know what? I got the clubs out maybe 2 weeks ago, and I was just doing some dry swings in the backyard, man. Just trying to get the 7-iron ready for this golf outing in April. Or the end of this month or whatnot.
That's right, the Heidelberg golf outing, buddy. It's going down. Oh, yeah. I still remember taking you golfing down at Fostoria Country Club that first time. Man, that was a good old time. I'm glad that after that day you have finally gotten the itch, and it's still something that you do and that you're seeming to enjoy. Because isn't golf like one of the greatest games, isn't it? What made you want to continue? Like what drives you to wanting to still even enjoy playing golf as a hobby or as something you do?
Yeah, it's funny. So in life, you always focus on like the bad things that happen to you, right? And you hyper focus on them, and then you want to make sure you like change things. But in golf, bro, it's crazy. You can shoot 120, but it was that one tee shot that keeps you coming back. Like, dang, I hit that ball like 300 yards. I gotta go back next week because I know I'm better than what I shot. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you focus on like one or two shots, and you're like, damn, I'm really gonna actually keep going back. But that's what keeps me going back, man. You grab a pitching wedge and you hit it 150 yards and you put it on the green, or you sink a putt from like far away. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dang, that's the one thing I focus on. So that's what keeps me coming back, man. It's not one hit. And Mac, I kept that. You remember that Big Bertha?
Yeah.
That driver.
Yeah.
I still have that.
Dude.
I still have that. Yeah, the thing still flexes and everything, bro. Like, I mean,
dude,
I don't use it anymore.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I'm just glad that I remember, like I said, anytime I can bring someone to golf, but I love that you're still playing. I love that, like you just said, it's you and you only, and you're trying to just better yourself, and you're just after, again, that like next shot. It's great. All right. So United States Probation and Pretrial Service Officer. Now,
yes, sir.
Talk to us a little bit about what is like the overall theme, and like what's the arching like your job responsibilities with this position.
So with this position, we have a very diverse group of professionals that work within the United States probation system. So we do the United States probation system does a lot of different things for the judiciary. So we are federal law enforcement officers. We are federal probation and pretrial services officers. We carry guns and badges and have arresting authority and all this other stuff. But there's a large spectrum of federal law enforcement. Like FBI, DEA is on this spectrum of the ATF. They're on this spectrum of the law enforcement federal law enforcement continuum, and we just are a little bit on this side because we work for the court specifically. Our job, basically, and to keep it as short and simple as possible, is solely and mainly for the fair administration of justice, and we do that by implementing several things within the community for individuals that we supervise, right? So by the time you get to us, you've probably surpassed local laws, you've surpassed county laws, you surpassed state laws, and essentially you've broken federal laws. And more likely than not, individuals that come to us are, individuals who they make TV shows about, individuals that are witness protection, individuals that do a lot of bad things within the community. Mac, fun fact, 95% of the people that go to prison come home, so essentially when those individuals come home or prior to going to prison, there has to be some type of mitigating laws or factors put into place that allows us to supervise an individual to ensure that the community is safe. So personally, what I do specifically, I'm a special offender specialist. So I work directly for two judges and I help run a federal drug court. We identify individuals who, if it wasn't for their substance use and abuse, they wouldn't have actually committed a federal crime. Another thing that I do is I also supervise our severely mentally ill individuals who suffer from diagnoses such as schizophrenia, all those different forms of schizophrenia, the continuum of depression, mood disorders, individuals who have suffered a significant amount of trauma, and some individuals who, use and abuse substances. I supervise those individuals, and sometimes I even have compassionate release individuals, or what we also will call individuals who are not guilty by reason of insanity. Those individuals come from all over the place, from military bases, from bank robberies, from doing things in national parks. So it's an intensive supervision process. And, for me, it's all about the fair administration of justice. But that's kind of the gist of what we do. We use a lot of evidence-based practices. And obviously, Mac, my educational background.
Yeah, so I was just about to ask about, so like
Mm-hmm.
that this is so amazing. And one again, thank you for the work that you're doing and keeping the community
Mm-hmm.
safe. But I think it's even a more powerful thing than just keeping the community safe. It's you're supporting people that need the help, right? Because it's at the end of the day, people make bad decisions. That doesn't always necessarily mean that they're bad people. Sometimes they just need help getting them back right on track, because maybe they went through something in their lives where they weren't taught or raised or anything like that to be able to make the right right choices or decisions. So talk to me though. Talk to those who don't know you. Talk to us a little bit about your education background. Now, for those of you who don't know, me and Justin, we went to Heidelberg University. But yeah, talk to me about let's share, like, what was your study at Heidelberg, and you also got your master's. Share a little bit about on that too, and then the follow up with that, like how you use the skills that you learned there, from Heidelberg, and are applying that now, in the career and the field that you're in today.
Absolutely. So, Max. So in my bachelor's at Heidelberg, I got a bachelor's of arts in political science and criminal justice. Obviously, you and I, we both graduated the same class and everything, and we both became GAs. I was very interested in the counseling and psychology field and how that field correlates so much with the criminal justice field. So upon graduating my bachelor's, I ended up getting my master's in clinical mental health counseling. Throughout my time there, that was some of the best, hands down, the best educational experience I've ever had. It was very diverse, it was very broad, but it also had a very specific purpose and focus for all of the students and everything. It was an accredited program. For the longest period of time, we actually were the best, or one of the top ranked counseling programs, if not still one of the top ranked counseling programs in the Midwest. So just a small little old Heidelberg. But from there, I utilized my master's degree to get into my first job out of graduate school. I worked at a halfway house as a intensive outpatient treatment counselor. So basically what I did, the University of Cincinnati came up with this evidence-based approach to providing treatment for individuals who use and abuse substances, right? So I was an IOP treatment counselor for a little while, and then I moved to South Carolina. I had a particular and significant interest in trauma in children, and also substance use and abuse when it came to individuals who were involved in the criminal justice system. So I went to South Carolina. I worked with the Department of Social Services. I used my licensure. I got licensed as a professional counselor in the state of Ohio. They got transferred to the state of South Carolina in 2016. And then I started practicing with the South Carolina State Department of Social Services. I was an intake or assessment worker. What I would do is I would go out and I would assess whether or not there was some form of child abuse and neglect. So essentially, I went from Ohio and I moved to South Carolina just because we wanted to change the scenery or whatnot. And when I got to South Carolina, of course, I was doing assessment work with the Department of Social Services. And shortly after a little while, I was able to laterally move over to the South Carolina Department of Mental Health, where I worked in the child and adolescent family clinic. And I mainly and primarily provided treatment and therapy for adolescent teen males and for like younger, like child males or whatnot, anywhere between the ages of like 5 to like 10. I provided treatment for them as well. I did that for about a year, but also at the same time when I was doing that, I was actually working part-time at a private counseling practice providing treatment via group treatment and individual treatment to individuals who were coming home from federal prison. So that was a private contracting job. Fell in love with it. After a little while, the director of that specific private practice had reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to actually apply to be the director. And for me, I was like, I kind of like jumping up here, but I applied, I got the job, and I ran a private counseling practice for a few years. Throughout my time doing that, I provided treatment for individuals coming home from the Federal Bureau of Prisons and also individuals that were involved with the United States Probation and Pretrial Services System. Essentially, I provided counseling, whether it be sex offender specific treatment, sex offender specific evaluations, alcohol and drug treatment, and your traditional mental health treatment for individuals that had severe mental health issues. So I used that hybrid degree to get me from Ohio to South Carolina, and then also got me into practicing in private practice. From there, I knew I always had an interest in federal law enforcement. I just didn't know what part of the continuum I wanted to be on, So, of course, interacting with the individuals in the U.S. probation and pretrial services system, I got exposed to what it was like to possibly be a U.S. probation and pretrial services officer. So just on a whim one day, I applied for the District of Ohio Northern, actually. I applied, and then a month later, I get a call. They said, hey, you want to come up here and interview? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll be up there. Well, can you be here in a week? Yeah, sure, I'll be up there, man. So I went up there, and I think it was March of 2019, interviewed, and the sweatiest interview I ever done. I think I took that suit to the dry cleaners the next day. Bad. So I applied, and then a month later they called me and told me, hey, you got the job, but obviously you got to get to this background check, and there's all these other things or whatever, the medical and the stuff or whatever, And it took about another like 2-3 months or whatever, and then next thing I know, I was on board. I was moving up to Ohio, man. And then I got into the job, and had to pretty much learn how to shoot, had to learn how to do like officer response tactics, had to learn how to shoot around corners and all types of stuff and shoot different courses.
That is amazing.
Yeah. But what's funny, man, is that was the easy part of the job. Right?
Now, I got a good question for this. Now,
yeah.
That's definitely some physical. Now, this is cool because it's it's physical training, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what now? I have always found the stuff that we went through with Heidelberg football like really helps to get through those situations. So talk
Yeah.
to me how what was it like going through those trainings, and like what helped
Mm-hmm.
you, because that's new skill, right? Like, again, yes, we
Yeah.
trained
Oh
football,
yeah.
but we didn't train how to hold guns. But like, what did you use from what you
Yeah.
did on the football field to be able to help make you successful with that training and growing into the profession that you're in now?
Well, right before a football game, you always get those nerves. Football game, a baseball game, any type of like athletic experience, like right before you go into it, like you're like, man, you just got these nerves, and you're just like, heart's racing, your anxiety's going, you're nervous, you're anxious, all those different types of things. But the positive thing for me is that I knew that, like, going through off-season training, knowing that I was nervous about off-season training, knowing that I was nervous about these 5 a.m. workouts, knowing I was nervous about dog soldiers, knowing I was nervous about that first kickoff of the year or whatnot, but also knowing that that was something that I got through uh, um, with the help of teammates, with the help of coaches and everything. I had it in the back of my mind that, like, well, if I can get through that, I can get through shooting this course. I can get through rolling around in this mat room. I can get through presenting recommendations to United States Article 3 judges. You know what I'm saying? I can get through that. So it was more of the experience of being able to face adversity and being able to know that I can move forward and I can be successful. That was what really helped the most. It's not the act of doing it. It was the irrational thoughts related to doing the act. So that's what pretty much helped me the most, man, was just making sure that I can rely on the fact that, like, if I can get through Coach Hallett yelling at me at 5 o'clock in the morning, if I can get through Matt Brown putting me through, champions in a Cyberlink gymnasium, having to get there at
Oh,
4 o'clock in the morning.
the good old
This is,
Cyberlin gymnasium
yeah,
workouts, baby. Oh
yes,
man. Now, all
we
right.
can get
So,
through, yeah.
so you talked a little bit about like focus, and you just brought up there
Mhm.
too, like being able to like go into your mind and be able to focus up. Now, I'd imagine the job that this does, it does require a lot of focus. So, besides
It does.
physically, which we'll get into how you physically prepare,
Mhm.
which we'll get into that, but I think this is a really, really awesome topic right now, because I think,
Yeah.
again, there's not enough people talking about it, but like
Mhm.
there's even myself and like what I've done in my leadership training, and like how I'm preparing
Mhm.
staff now is doing talking about these tools and techniques, but it's about the mental health. How
Yeah.
do you, and I can only imagine the things and the clients that you're
Mhm.
working with, that
Yeah.
it's it I know, knowing you too, I know you probably
Mhm.
carry that weight on you too. So talk to
Yeah.
us, what is some stuff that you do to help with your mental health to keep you
Mhm.
focused but also like mentally strong as well?
You know what, Mac? That's a good topic, right? A lot of people take like the small things for granted. For me, I like to do the small things right, because at the end of the day, the big things will just follow when it comes through it. When it comes to it, for me, my mental health is I go to the gym for about an hour and a half doing CrossFit 4 to 5 times a week, and I make sure I do that. I make sure that's the unequivocal, untouched, most dedicated hour, hour and a half that I have throughout my day sometimes, because I need to put my phone down. I need to detach from the rigors of doing the day to day things. And I need to focus on something that's going to give me some type of value. It's important to be able to finish the day and say, well, I feel good about who I am, and I feel good about how I look, and I feel good about how I feel. So my way of taking care of myself, number one, is going to the gym. Number two is being consistent with that, right? Um, there's going to be obstacles that are going to happen. I'm going to have to go out and be out late, or I'm going to have to go out and be out early. Sticking to a schedule. Giving myself and making sure that like, okay, this is what my week looks like. If I can plan around my week, then I can make sure I hit the things that bring me the most pleasure, such as going to the gym. Um, things such as, for me, that keeps me grounded and motivated and ready and continue to be happy and healthy and functional is I plan my meals every week. You know, every Sunday I come home every Sunday and I go to Trader Joe's. I spend about
Wow,
$100
you're living that
there.
Trader Joe's life.
Yeah.
Bro, you can't, man, we
Absolutely.
used to live that, try to get some ramen at Walmart, so now you at Trader
Yeah,
Joe's,
yeah.
bro?
Man, we
Oh,
up to
good for
PJ's,
you, dude.
baby.
That's awesome.
We
No,
up to
no, yeah, yeah.
PJ's, baby. So I, go to Trader Joe's, do my meals for the week, right? I mean, it's all about being consistent. It's all about, for me, it's all about being consistent, because consistency for myself is discipline for myself. If I can prove to myself that I'm disciplined, then the things such as a cheat meal, the things such as a couple beers on Saturday, the things such as a bourbon on a Thursday night when I'm not at the gym, feel that much better. And I can be there for the people that I love more, because I know that I'm taking care of myself, you know. So for me, it's sticking to that schedule, being consistent, you know, allowing yourself to have time for yourself. That's what helps me stick with the job, um,
Yeah,
apart from
no,
other things.
you bring up such, and I just got done speaking at a camp conference where I literally talked about that same thing, where I said,
Mhm.
it was refresh your mind. It was a whole thing about, how you have to, pretty much the whole thing was, you have to take care of yourself, right?
Yeah,
Because you're
yeah,
tasked with taking care of others, and when you're on your job,
right.
you need to support the team that you're with. And if you're not
Hmm.
doing the things outside of that to make sure that you are in the best space to
Hmm.
help, then you're going to suffer, because now you're not 100% recharged mentally, focused, ready to go, because you didn't take the time that you needed to do whatever it is. And again, for you, it's working out. For some other people, it may be whatever it is, but you have
Hmm.
to do that thing for yourself. And because if you don't take care of yourself first, there's no way that you can be able to be there to do your job or help support others effectively. Now, so you brought up
Absolutely.
CrossFit. So I'm not going to lie to you,
Yeah.
man. I love seeing your stuff, man. You talk about getting motivated.
Yeah.
I love seeing it, and you've always been a strong, explosive athlete. And I know
Yeah.
me and you had
Appreciate
talked
it.
about this when I was doing strongman, about, wow, like
Yeah. Yeah.
there's something about this world that we hated, right? We hated
Hmm.
weightlifting at the foot. Like we were wanting to
Yeah.
play football. We didn't want to be
Uh-huh.
there at 5 a.m. lifting, but now we've taken something that was not necessarily what we liked about the sport, but we've learned stuff, and now you found a passion
Yeah.
to want to do into that. So talk to me a little bit about, like, what are some updates in that world with you and in the CrossFit
Hmm.
life, and how do you use that to physically get you prepared to do your job?
Yeah. Yeah. So, so we're both prior athletes. And one of the things that motivates me is preparing for competition, right? So I normally do about 2 to 3 competitions a year. I do the CrossFit Open every year, just to compete against myself as well. And for the most part, man, like one of the things I'm doing now is there's a CrossFit OG. His name's Matt Frazier, and he's actually the best CrossFit athlete of all time. In order to be a good CrossFit athlete, you have to be really good at running, biking, rowing, swimming, sprinting, weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting. You have to be all around well established and well trained athlete. So it's such a good sport. So he came out with a program, and right now me and a group of friends are basically doing his programming. And I can tell you this right now, man, it's the strongest I've ever been by just doing a program and sticking with it. Um, and my cardio is actually increasing as well. But what I've been doing lately is recently, as of the middle of February, I competed in there was a qualifying, it was a big qualifying event here in South Carolina. It was called Fittest of the Coast. So a friend of mine, a friend and I, basically what we did was last October, we did all the qualifying workouts, turned in our scores, our weights lifted and everything, just to see if we can qualify to get into this workout. So we qualified in a specific division. We qualified in the intermediate division. We ended up going and competing in that competition. We ended up finishing 9th out of 40 teams.
Dang,
Still
good
pretty
job,
good.
buddy.
Yeah,
Nice. Top 10?
It's so,
There we go.
top 10, baby. Top 10. Yeah, top 10. But, at the end of the day, those are the things that keep you going. Right around this time last year, I did a CrossFit competition at a very well-established gym in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And essentially, man, we went there. There were some top level athletes, individuals that are just doing CrossFit and getting paid to do CrossFit. People that are just getting paid to work out. We were competing with those guys, and it was a pretty good time, man. And essentially, that's what keeps me motivated. That's what keeps me going. That's what I have going on right now. But one of the things I do have a passion for is Olympic weightlifting. I competed in that from 2019 to about to the end of 2020. I qualified for the American Open, and essentially I moved back to Ohio right when I really started to catch my flow with the Olympic weightlifting, and that's the snatching and the clean and jerking. But right now, what I'm really wanting to do is become a USAW L1 coach. And,
Awesome. Okay.
yeah, possibly open my own barbell gym and try to get individuals who are interested in Olympic weightlifting out there and doing it, and teach them in a safe and a nurturing and a good way and a good environment that's very practical and evidence-based, and there's a true linear progression to what we would do. So that's what I want to do, man. That's what I kind of do nowadays.
Yeah, no, and that's super awesome stuff. Now, I think the biggest thing here is, being able to provide, again, opportunities for others to be able to experience this stuff, get better themselves.
Yeah.
Talk to me, were there when you were growing up, were there things that you that you had in your community that that you're trying to role model to be able to give back to, or is this something that you didn't have access to, so you would like to bring now to your community so you can help out, have it? Talk to me a little bit about that.
So growing up for me, we didn't have Olympic weightlifting. Growing up in Akron, Ohio, we didn't have Olympic weightlifting, but what I did have was a well-established community that was good at basketball, football, and baseball. And I wasn't really any good in basketball because I was too short, and I really couldn't care that much.
Don't let him fool you, though. He has the best defense, all right? Shout out to that Heidelberg GA versus full-time coaches game. Let him know. Matty Bird, too, Mr. 3, and lockdown Suds on the D.
Absolutely.
But, I get what you're saying. Keep going, yeah.
So my mom didn't let me play football until basically my senior year of high school because I had really bad asthma issues. So I stuck with baseball, man. So as a kid growing up, man, I played baseball from the age of 4 until I was 20 at Heidelberg. So I played baseball for a long time. I played baseball for basically longer than half my entire life I've lived. So along the way, we had coaches that, I don't come from money. You know this, Matt. I don't come from money or anything like that. So along the way, I had coaches that supported me. Coaches that would come pick me up from the house, take me to baseball games, baseball practice. Every other day. I didn't have a glove. I didn't have a bat. My mom was always able to give me some cleats, but not necessarily all the time able to get me a good glove. So I was able to get a glove from the coaches and everything. And it was just something that that's something that I had access to. Coach Joe Spiegel, Firestone Park Rams, man. Firestone Park Rams, Coach Joe Spiegel, just a completely amazing human being, still doing it to this day. When I go back home to Akron, I'll go to Firestone Park just to pull up on him and see him down there. And it's crazy just to see that he's still doing the same exact thing, But that gives me motivation to know and understand that that's something I gotta pay back. I gotta get back in some way, somehow. I do believe in karma, and especially good karma. So at some point I'm gonna have to get that back. So the way I view it is that I want to give this sport of weightlifting to people who may not know it yet. So,
No,
but
that's awesome.
yeah.
That's really powerful stuff, man. I tell you what,
Mm-hmm.
I love hearing these type of stories where, again, you're using your outlets and you're using your strengths to also now
Mm-hmm.
help better your community, right? A lot of and
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of individuals, um it yes, it's one thing to do good things and it's one thing to show people, but then it's like, all right, how do you help, right? Like, how can you bring
yeah.
change? I think right now, um there's I mean, this, and it's not just right now. I think there's always so many negative things you see, that if you can take something like this and bring a positive light to it and then help inspire change and inspire growth,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really powerful thing. So awesome work, man.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see this blow up.
yeah.
um
Me too.
Whatever you need help along the way,
Mm-hmm.
we're here. Recliner Sports Report fully endorses the Suds gym for sure. That's just
Oh,
so
good.
amazing. I can't wait to see what more stuff you're going to do with that. um,
Oh, yeah.
well, that's awesome, man. Um, so talk to me, as being, again, a former college two sport athlete. um, are you still keeping up to date with any pro sports? Like,
Oh, man.
what have you been watching? Like, and you still
Oh,
watch? I
man.
know. So I remember, though, as when we were GAs, sometimes we
Uh-huh.
watched so much football film that it was like, I don't even know if I want to watch a Sunday game right
Yeah.
now. So talk to me.
Yeah.
Do you get? Have you? Do you still watching some NFL? You get to watch your games. Like, are you still rooting for the Browns, or like did you change to the Panthers down there? Like, or like, say, like, you still diehard Browns
What?
fan?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Cleveland Browns, baby. I'm a Cleveland Browns, Guardian,
The
Cleveland Cavaliers
Guardians
fan. The guard, baby. The guard.
just had a big. They just had a big win today, didn't they?
Yeah.
Win like
Yeah.
17 to something, or
I
yeah.
think we won 17-2 or 3 the other day over Kansas City
The
or something like
Guardians.
that.
That
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
till I die.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So talk to me. What has been what has been your thoughts about this whole? I mean, it's been a crazy
Oh,
free
man.
agency. I have to say that
Um,
I'm definitely saying it's the Bengals are the reason why there's all this craziness, because last year when
mhm.
they were supposed to draft a lineman and they went and said, "Nah, I'm going to go draft this wide receiver," which I was
Yep.
fully supportive of. I actually wanted
Yeah.
Smith from Alabama, but I'm super happy we went with Chase. Um,
Yeah.
he was also
Yeah.
good. And then they're like, "No, you're an idiot. You're going to get this kid killed. He's not going to make it." And then they go to the Super Bowl. And now it's
Yep.
like, really, everyone's like, "Oh crap!" Like, maybe
Mhm.
unconventional stuff's to work. And now all of a sudden you see Tariq Hill to the Dolphins. The Browns
Yeah.
have three quarterbacks now. Devontae Adams gone. Russell Wilson's going to another team. There's been some
Oh,
crazy
yeah.
stuff. What has been some of your like shocking things that you've seen in free agency, or like hot
Yeah.
things that's been on your mind?
Well, my observation is that it seems as though teams, how back in the day teams were so willing to just build through the draft. Let me just get all these draft picks and let me just build through the draft, right? But what the Rams have shown the league is that you can go out and buy yourself a Super Bowl, or you can trade away whatever you need to get yourself a Super Bowl, or you can actually really get those athletic position or those skill position guys and still get yourself to the Super Bowl, such as Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. What the Bengals did also is they completely they somewhat rebuilt the defense. I mean, they already had really good players in Jesse Bates. You guys have really good. I mean, Bates along with the other individuals in the secondary, they're still really. You guys had a really good secondary, and then you guys went and got the guy from the Saints from New Orleans, Hendrickson.
Yep.
When you already had Zach Hubbard, standout, defensive lineman from Ohio State.
Ogunjobi from you
Oh,
guys, yeah,
yeah, you
yeah.
interior D lineman, and when you guys got Ogunjobi, I already knew that was a really good pick because I follow the Browns and I knew how good Larry Ogunjobi was. We just couldn't keep him because we couldn't pay him.
Right.
But that's been my observation. So it's like teams are trying to really compile individuals who have proven that they can play in the league. And
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point. Free agency now really has like what the Rams did with that is it's just showing, like you said, you don't you have to draft people and people get drafted because it's a draft every year,
yeah,
but
yep,
you're putting a lot of money on kids.
yeah,
Kids.
yeah, yeah.
Kids. Me and
People who
my
aren't
friends
proven
always
yet.
talk. Yeah, we always talk about it with like when we gamble on, when we try to stay away from college football and college basketball because these are kids. You don't know what they're
Yep.
doing. Me and you were college athletes. I wouldn't put
Yeah,
any money on us like
man.
that. But
Yeah.
spending some money on the people who have proven
Mm-hmm.
what they've done. I think, like you said, you can now build yourself a good team. So speaking of building now and people who have proven themselves,
Mm-hmm.
Desean Watson, he's definitely, the stuff that comes with Desean is what it is. But as an
Yeah.
athlete, we'll say as an athlete, he does have a pretty good proven track record of being a good football
Yeah.
player. But what is going on with the Browns, man? I got to hear from a Browns fan.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this whole Baker, Watson? Now you got Bassett in there too, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
just your quarterbacks for going on now. But we're not even talking about the
Yeah.
rest of the teams that you need to be
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going on? Give me what's
So
from a Browns fan's perspective.
yes. So from a Browns fan perspective, right? Deshaun Watson, from a football only perspective, was was the greatest move that the Cleveland Browns have made since 2000, since we came back to the league. And he's the best quarterback, the best individual player that we've probably seen since Jim Brown, right? Well, really, Joe Thomas. Let me take that back. Since Joe Thomas, from a football perspective, guaranteeing the money, working the salary cap, also not giving up much in return to get him, right? He's worth 3 first-round draft picks and a couple other round picks or whatever. Essentially, at the end of the day, it was a really good move. I mean, we really didn't have to give up much to get this guy,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy to think. So that was our first thing. The first thing is that, like, we didn't give up much to get him, and he's really good. From the other thing is from a Baker perspective, right? Baker has had his opportunities to show what he can do. He's had his opportunities to. Now, granted, he was injured and tore up most of the year last year. We understand, man, was tore up, but literally tore up. But for the most part, man, even before that, it's not like we could count on Baker to actually win us a game. I hate to say that, but like, there was a couple times he came in the clutch, and like, it just seems like a lot of his efforts were in games where we just couldn't.
Yeah.
He just couldn't close the game. The Chargers, the Chiefs, the Raiders, so many different games. The Steelers, so many different games where in which he had an opportunity to show that he can do something, but he just didn't put the consistency out there. But long story short, hopefully Baker ends up in a good spot somewhere. But for the most part, man, if we can get Deshaun Watson back on the field, it'd be a good thing. Now, from a personal perspective, one of the things we got to consider here, right, is that Deshaun Watson was all the information about his personal issues was brought to 2 different grand juries. That's rare.
Okay. So this is good because you
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
federal agent here, so you
yeah,
understand the
yeah,
law, not as much as I do.
yeah.
All right. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
talk me through that.
So it's rare, right? So when you bring a complaint, what you would call a complaint or whatever, or an indictment to a grand jury. A grand jury is a group of individuals in the community who secretly convene to review cases, to establish some type of probable cause, whether or not, more likely than not, we need to investigate whether or not this guy did this. In the court of law, we need to investigate it that way. So if a grand jury says that we're going to move forward on charges, that means that they have found some type of probable cause, and they have, and a judge has signed off on the fact that we're going to go forward with this indictment, and then we need to present this indictment to the defendant, which would be Desean Watson. So in order to get past a grand jury, you have to prove that there was some type of criminal act, you know? And it's interesting because when you consider and read and watch everything that's going on, you know, a lot of individuals are saying that he's some type of serial sex offender. That's a serious term in our community, man.
Yeah.
That's a serious term in our community. And when you consider the fact that not once but twice, these allegations were brought up by a law enforcement officer or a law enforcement agency and an attorney's office, whether it's a district attorney or some other type of solicitor's office, individuals who are well versed in what they do. You know, it was brought to these individuals, brought to a grand jury, and on two separate occasions, a grand jury declined to indict Desean Watson on criminal charges. So I guess let's get away from the criminal issue, right? Moving on to the civil matter, the civil suit. Mac, I can sue you for almost anything, man. I can sue you for almost I can bring you up in a civil court for almost anything, man. And all you need to meet is a preponderance of the evidence in the sense that you cause some type of issue towards me, and it's me versus you. You know what I'm saying? Like in civil cases, the standard of proof isn't as high as a criminal case. But that doesn't neglect the civil case. It doesn't neglect the fact that maybe Desean presented himself in a way that bothered women in a specific type of way, because there are too many different individuals claiming the same thing.
Yep.
You know, so obviously there's some sort of something he's going to have to be responsible for in this, you know. So, but essentially, I like to say that, like, I'd like to see the result of everything first, because in American society, we like to accuse people before they actually get due process, man. Give the man his due process. And essentially, criminally, he's good. He's good criminally. He's not, he doesn't have to worry about going to jail. He doesn't have to worry about, you know, he doesn't have to worry about being, like, he's good to go. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
That's a really, really interesting. And, you know, I think hearing that, and, you know, again, seeing what's going on, again, most of the stuff you get is from the media. It's being reported, but actually, like, you know, again, I'm not someone who knows the law, but hearing from someone who actually knows the law and explaining that, like, you know, it brings up a really interesting point of, you're right. I want to see, like, how the civil stuff plays out, because you're, like you said, like, criminally, he's good. Like, he's fine. Like, you know, but, and then it's also going to be interesting to see what the NFL does.
Mm-hmm.
Does with this too. It is a weird, it's a weird situation. It's a weird situation to be in, and I think, like you said, it makes it a little bit more confusing when it gets, you know, denied for, you know, for the criminal stuff. So that's it'll be interesting. I agree with you though. Football wise, I do think he's a good football player.
Oh man,
like he's a super talented athlete. I do think it is. Like you said, in terms of Baker, it's just, I think it's very clear it's not going to work anymore. I think it's just it's time to just move on. I don't know where he goes. I think in terms of the NFL, there are lots of teams that need quarterbacks right now. There's a lot of teams that have question marks in those positions. So I don't know what's going on. I also don't think that the draft coming up, I don't think that there's that many strong quarterbacks coming out of this draft.
No,
there's a couple, like, not there are a few, but like I remember the years where there was like 4 or 5 quarterbacks coming out, and you're like, all right, who's going to be number 1 here? Who's number 5 here? I just think it's just not a lot of candidates at the quarterback class. But what about the draft? Give me some thoughts here. What is it exactly you think the Browns should do, and is there anyone that you're hoping that they go and get?
Well, I'm hoping that we were able to parlay whatever we get from Baker, or we're able to find a way to move up back in the first round and draft one of these really talented wide receivers, right? So when you take a look at the draft this year, it's really all about the skill position players. And obviously you got some pass rushers and you got some offensive linemen that are really good. And you got your a couple quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett, guy from Pittsburgh. I think that's his name, Kenny Pickett. You got Malik Willis out of Houston. And then you got there's another guy, I forget his name, but those two guys,
the guy from Georgia, I think, right?
Yeah, but they're not like they don't seem to be like off the charts,
No, they're good quarterbacks, but not like again, we're not talking about like when we had with Joe Burrow and Tua, or like all the years with Palmer and all those guys where you had like 4 or 5 quarterbacks that were going in the top 10. You just which is just not the way. I do think there's lots of talented defensive players that are coming into this draft. There are some dudes that like there's some good D linemen and some good secondary players that those first round teams, if they go with that route, they're defensively going to be very strong. That's going to I think you'd always like to say it in the NFL is like you want to draft someone that's going to instantly make an impact. You're not trying to draft someone that you're going to necessarily have to grow into. Like you want them to like you're spending this money, like you're making them pick for, especially in the first round, you want them to come and make an impact right now. And I think that there's some really talented defensive people. Now I'm just now realizing this. So you guys don't have a first round draft pick right now?
No, we don't. We traded that away to Houston.
Okay.
So I'm hoping what we can do is whatever draft capital we might get from Baker. And all the analysts, a lot of people seem to believe that we're going to trade Baker right before the draft, so that we can get and move them, so that we can get some type of draft capital, basically move up and get one of these stud receivers. Before us acquiring Desean Watson, I wanted either Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State or Chris Olave out of Ohio State. And those two dudes were my guys. I mean, I watched them every game this year. I watched them in a Rose Bowl. Like, wow, these guys can go, man. These guys can go. Well, actually, technically, they were in the Rose Bowl. I think maybe Garrett Wilson didn't play in the Rose Bowl. I know Chris Olave played in the Rose Bowl. But nevertheless, I watched them over the last few years at Ohio State. I was hoping to see us get one of them, or the guy from USC, or I think one gem that we might be able to see us get is, I think, Jameson Williams, who technically was an Ohio State guy, transferred from Ohio State and went to Alabama. But Jameson Williams out of Alabama, but he tore his ACL. We might be able to pick him up, But that's what I'm hoping to see, man. I think we need to lock up Clowney. We need to lock up Clowney some way, somehow. And then we might need to address the safety position again. But other than that, I think we're looking all right, man.
Dude, the Browns beat the Bengals. You beat the Super Bowl runner-ups twice last year. You swept us
twice.
So I here's the thing: the Browns, they're going to be tough. They're going to be it's going to be a good, loyal fan base. So you're going to have definitely an effect with that. But they're just, you guys are grinders, and it's always going to be a game. It's always going to be a dogfight. The Browns are always just, honestly, in the division, the Browns always scare me the most every year. I think the Steelers have definitely gotten worse over the years. I think, I don't know. I mean, I know what they did, but I don't know, how they figured it out on the Lamar Jackson, figuring out the Ravens and what they've done and stop them. But yeah, the Browns are always consistently a good tough team, and you guys have just had some rough breaks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, sweet, man. Well, hey, anything else? Anything as we get to the end here? Anything else you wanna shout out or plug, or any other cool projects or anything coming up?
Nah, no other cool projects right
Cool.
now, man. Right now, I want to focus on getting this USAW L1, and then
That's
trying to
great.
start my own barbell club. And maybe you might be able to have me back on, and I can provide you with an update, and we can throw some stuff out there,
Oh, dude,
and
we can for
we can get
sure
it
do that.
cracking.
Oh,
Oh
dude,
yeah,
100%. You are part of the OG crew. Well,
yeah,
awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me again. This has been
oh
Justin
yeah.
Suddeth. Federal law enforcement right there, baby. The
Yeah. Oh
feds.
yeah.
What's up from the Berg?
That's
Thank
me.
you all for tuning
Yep.
in. Stay tuned for next time. If you have a story you would like to share, also hit me up. We can get you on the show. And as always, keep the change.